Hello, this is our group project for CSE 412. We're group 75. I have Sean, Arjun, Aditi, and I'm Abdullah Al-Ani. I'm simply just going to explain the purpose of this program. To start off, this program is to simplify the customer and manager relations for the property renter. We wanted to make sure that they have every facility that they would need within this application. For example, the ability to lease, the ability to submit maintenance requests, and the ability to also view announcements that come from our manager. The manager has the responsibility of accepting leases, receive and take care of maintenance requests. If we were to log in, and I'll just pass it on to Aditi now.
All right, so of our two users, I'm going to first log into a customer's account to show how they would go about submitting a lease for a unit. Okay, so I've logged into a customer's account. To rent a unit, we go to the View Properties tab. This table shows all the units. The properties that have units available for rent are things with other than 0 marked down over here. So if the customer wants to choose this unit, they would select it on the table and press the View Property button. You can see the information for the property over here. And once we have the unit selected, they can press View Unit and then head over to Lease Details, select a payment type, and then send a lease request. All right, now we're going to log into a property manager's account to approve that lease. So once we're logged into the property manager, we can head over to the lease request tab to see any pending leases that need to be approved. So this is the lease request that we just submitted with the customer account, and we can select the lease and then press approve lease. And now that the lease is approved, it doesn't display in the table anymore. So now that we have approved the lease request, we can see that in the tenants tab, the customer is in this table, and we can visit the unit and see the details of the unit over here and see that the rent status is now true. We can see the details of the tenant that is renting the unit, and we could either renew the lease or terminate it from here. We can see the rent that's due and the date that the rent is due. And the rent status being false means that it hasn't been paid yet. And over here are maintenance requests, but there aren't any right now because the customer hasn't sent anything yet. And over here, we can edit the details of the unit. We can say that it's now a 2-bedroom unit, or we can update the condition to new. Let's say they paid the rent, then we can update it to true. And then if we press home again, we go back to the original tabs. And over here on the units tab, we see the units that the property manager is in charge of, and the unit that they are in charge of is currently rented, and see the condition was updated to new. And then we can see the details of the property over here and any community announcements that the property has. Property manager wants to add something new, they can just make a new announcement like this. They could also delete announcements with this button.
All right, so we will log into the customer account once again now. And now that the lease has been approved, we will see that we have some new tabs which are available to the customer. Like there's a maintenance tab where the customer can view a past maintenance request which they have. Here they also have the option of sending a maintenance request. So let's go ahead and send one. So as we can see, the maintenance request we have created, it has now been added to the list. So now there's the rent tab which we have now that we're leasing. So here the user can actually pay the rent, and it shows the amount of rent which they have to pay and the due date for it. So since we see the rent is due, we can click on pay rent to pay that rent. And as you can see, the rent has now been paid. Further, there's lease details as before. As you can now see, the lease has been accepted. So it says lease is current. You can cancel the lease if you want. Then there's an announcements task where you can now view the announcements, especially the one which we had made earlier. Now we will head on over to the property manager for this property to look at the maintenance request which we had just sent. So now that we are logged in back to the property manager, we will go to the maintenance tab. And this tab shows all the pending lease maintenance requests for the entire property. So as we can see, we can find the maintenance request which we had sent earlier here. So we can resolve it. And there you go. As you can see, we have resolved the maintenance request.